This is Mr. Floppy 19 coming to you. Hey, before we get into this book, I just want to say that this book is being dedicated in loving memory of Desiree Beck. Desi, man, you left us too soon. So this is for you. I'll see you on the other side.
Hey everyone, I hope you are all doing well. So like I said in my intro, this video project is being done in loving memory of Desiree Beck. So let's get into it. Up on Denali by Shelley Gill, illustrated by Shannon Cartwright. When the snow starts to snow and the winds really blow, Raven comes out to play. Other birds have gone south, but the curious old raven can endure the long, cold Arctic winters. He is a genius of birds, creative, inquisitive, and a thief. In the heart of Alaska, there's a mountain that rises so high it creates its own weather. It is one of the coldest mountains on planet Earth. This mountain has many names: McKinley, Denali, the Big One, the High One, and simply, the Mountain. Huge glaciers slide from the mountain's shoulders, giving way to whitewater rivers. Wildflowers blanket the tundra for only a few short months before winter covers the land in ice and snow. This is a wild mountain. One face a paradise, the other face lifeless, locked in deadly ice. How did Denali come to be? The Athabascan Indians tell a creation story. Raven Man was chasing a girl, but he wasn't having much luck. Peeved at her lack of affection, he threw her from his canoe. Whew, was her mom mad. She set 2 grizzlies on Raven. He paddled as fast as he could as the bears dug at the lake's edge and raised huge waves that threatened to tip the Raven from his canoe. Raven hurled his harpoon at the waves. It glanced off the first and lodged in the second, larger wave. The waves turned to stone. The first one became a set of low hills. The second, a great mountain called Denali, and Raven, that trickster, got clean away. The Athabascan Indians who lived near Denali were tough nomadic hunters who could survive at temperatures of 50 below for days without food, fire, or shelter. Volcanic rainbow bands paint the hills of Polychrome Pass. Glaciers grind and echo songs of mountain and crevasse. In the language of science, the birth of Denali happened another way. Think of 2 giant hunks of land smashing together under terrific force. Edges fold, huge cracks appear, heat melts the stone to liquid. Sand is pressed to stone, twisting, crunching, thrusting upward as one hunk pushes the other toward the sky. Denali is unique in that it is made up of many different terrains deposited over millions of years. Remnants of ocean bottom can be found high in the Alaska Range, some from exotic South Pacific origins. An uplifted mountain, Denali rises higher as the North American and Pacific plates of the Earth's crust collide and one slides under the other. This mountain lifting continues today. Denali grows about 1 millimeter a year. As the mountains build, they are also constantly worn away. More recent chiseling of the land was done by ice and water. The V-shaped valleys were carved by the water of raging rivers. A series of glaciations over the past 2.5 million years until the present. About 1.8 million years ago, a whole slew of prehistoric critters showed up just north of Denali. When the first humans appeared near Denali about 11,000 years ago, the prehistoric mammal population began to decline. At the feet of Wild Mountain, trumpeter swans call. Lynx, moose, and black bear sing a melody of fall. Wild Mountain wiggles his toes in the cool lowlands and shadows of a spruce forest. Moose and caribou with huge racks and big grizzlies with waves of fat beneath golden fur live and play at the feet of Wild Mountain. Black bear, lynx, marten, grizzly, and moose live along the river drainages that flow from glaciers high above. Many of those rivers, Kahiltna, Tokasitna, Yentna, Chulitna, Kantishna, and in Na, Athabascan for running water. On a hot day, the glaciers melt faster and the rivers run high. But as the weather cools, the water slows and drops its load of silt. This changes the course of the rivers as they meander through the lowlands. At the knees of Wild Mountain, see the tundra in full bloom, buttercups and shooting stars, bluebells and pink plumes. Climbing up through tundra is like walking through a rainbow of wildflowers, but not all the flowers on the mountain have pretty names. In fact, some are pretty strange. Toadflax, woolly lousewort, wormwood, fleabane, duckweed, or how about weasel snout? In this tiny 3-inch jungle of tundra, wildflowers sway along a steep stream bed. An antler lies buried in moss, and the ground is a spongy mattress beneath your feet. Clumps of color, magenta, sky blue, waxy yellow, sprout from rocky faces. Willow whiskers poke through pockets of dirty old snow. Bearberries stored in tundra nest. Grayling eggs hide in gravel. Arctic tern takes his northern rest, as round the world he'll travel. Cranberries, blueberries, crowberries, cloudberries, yum! Food is everywhere if you're a bear. Clear lakes and ponds are home to dolly varden, trout, salmon, graylings, sticklebacks, wood frogs, leeches, and of course, mosquitoes. The tundra wetlands are nesting grounds for shorebirds and provide a resting place for the migrating birds whose destination is farther north. Scats, turds, pellets can give a kid the scoop. No matter what you call it, you can learn a lot from poop. Hiking the tundra, you can learn a lot about an animal's habits by studying scat. You can find out what critters are up to and maybe even figure out when the grizzly left that steamy pile of poo behind your tent. You can even tell if a bear is eating soap berries because his poop will be pink. What happens when bears eat blueberries? Wondered the raven. You can even tell if the ground squirrel is out of hibernation if his bones are in fox's scat. Awesome antlers, heavy horns impress a critter's mates in a clashing, crashing contest to see who can get the most dates. The bigger the antler, the higher the rank. That's nature's rule with moose and sheep and caribou. The ram with a full curl headset is more successful with his gals. He will breed more often and pass on his mega genes. Dull sheep, both the ewes and rams, grow permanent horns that get a little bigger each year. Horn is made from keratin, like your fingernails and hair. Male moose and caribou couples grow antlers that shed each year. Next year, the new antler grows a little thicker. A mature bull moose can have antlers weighing in at 90 pounds. Antlers are made from bone. Horns on sheep, they always keep. Antlers on moose each winter, come loose. Bear blaze, caribou rack. Eagle talon, wolf track. Post holes tell of a moose alone. Wolverine guards his pile of bone. Huge bear tracks cover the rounded cut left by the caribou's hoof in the sand of a dry riverbed. There is a story here, and the ending lies close by. Wolf, fox, and eagle tracks crisscross a scant pile of bones, 2 hooves, a clump of hair, all that remain of the young bull caribou. The bear killed the caribou, but the leftovers fed many. Do you know why bear tracks are bigger in the fall? Because the bear weighs more, said the raven. When you see caribou tracks in the snowy cleft of the mountain, what do they tell you? Maybe the bugs are out. Clouds of black flies, gnats, and mosquitoes evaporate on the cold wind skimming across a leftover snowfield. The bugs in Alaska are so hungry they can suck a young animal dry. So caribou stick to the cool, less buggy snowfields, especially when they have their calves. Harsh exposed ridge wind-whipped, bone dry. A bunny's got a boogie, if he's gonna survive. A blanket of tundra barely covers Wild Mountain's belly. Small, isolated patches of vegetation provide shelter for a few hardy mountain folk. On the north fork of the Ruth Glacier, surrounded by snow, a family of carnivorous bunnies lives at the base of the glacier ridge. Pikas, known as rock rabbits, usually gather plants, dry them in the sun, and store this hay for winter. But biologists have noted meat-eating pikas in the Wrangell Mountains and suspect that they are doing the same on Denali. In the Wrangells, Scientists found caches of small birds stacked like cordwood in pika nests. A meat-eating rabbit? Yikes! The crack of blue ice. An avalanche roars by. Glacier grinds forward with a haunting cry. Denali is surrounded by huge glaciers and ice fields. On the south slope of Kahitna, Tokasitna, Ruth, and Eldridge, and on the north slope of the Muldrow and Brooks flow downhill, pushed by the weight of accumulated snow. The Alaska Range acts as a barrier to the storms moving in from the Pacific Ocean, so the moisture dumps on the south slope as snow, creating the south slope's huge snowfields and glaciers. The rivers of ice surge and retreat, and as the ice moves, it cracks, leaving deep and dangerous crevasses. These 100 to 300 feet deep cracks look beautiful from the air, but they are deadly. Park Service volunteers were struggling through deep drifts at 13,500 feet when they saw a grizzly bear emerging from the blowing snow. At the sight of the humans, the bear bolted back down the mountain and slipped, tumbling into a crevasse. The mountain claimed another victim. Glaciers can also be a death trap for many migrating birds that follow the wide valley north, only to find a giant mountain blocking their path. Sparrows, dark-eyed juncos, warblers, ducks, and geese have tried to take this shortcut and ended up buried in the ice. But the strangest animal story yet is the sighting of a red squirrel at 12,500 feet, 10,000 feet above the last tree. Did he travel up in a climber's pack or just get lost? Hidden in a rocky cleft, life struggles on the edge. A puddle feeds a bit of moss, cracks shelter a grassy wedge. On the shoulders of Wild Mountain, crisp, dry lichens go slimy in freezing rain. A small patch of grass is found at 15,000 feet. A bit of moss grows in a crevasse at 17,500 feet. The rest of the view is rock and ice, but somehow, tiny microclimates hang on in rock cracks where water can collect. A puddle forms and lichen grows. At 12,000 feet, the temperature rarely gets above freezing. The air is thinner and the wind is stronger, yet these miniature islands of life cling to south-facing slopes. At 5,000 feet, patches of willow, lousewort, and saxifrage survive. Year after year, a pilot has seen wolverine tracks climbing the Straightaway Glacier in the spring, to the Sultana Ridge of Mount Foraker to more than 13,000 feet, then descending Mount Crossan, down the Kahiltna, and out Pika Glacier. The wolverine is migrating across the highest part of the Alaska Range, to the south in the summer and back north in the winter. Climber and naturalist Brian Okonek was climbing in a whiteout at 9,000 feet when he came upon a flock of 8 shorebirds flying in a V formation, going nowhere. They were just staying even with the headwind, flapping but not moving forward as Brian walked by. At 9,500 feet on Kahiltna Pass, climbers saw a raven chasing a duck, staying right on his tail with a hungry look in his eye. Icy pinnacles sweep the sky. Above the clouds I long to fly, to seek, to climb, to explore. Mountain, teach my heart to soar. The high one, rising 18,000 feet from its 2,000-foot plateau, Denali's face is higher than even Everest's. The mountain sits in the center of the Alaska Range, craggy white slopes blushing pink in winter's alpenglow. It has been called the coldest mountain in the world, with winds up to 150 miles per hour and temperatures that plummet to 200 below. Frederick Cook claimed he climbed Denali first, but later photos showed he had a flair for fiction. 2 local miners with the Sourdough expedition did climb the North Peak in 1910. They traveled, first with horses and later with dog teams, 150 roadless miles from Fairbanks, and then climbed the mountain without ropes, hauling a 14-foot spruce pole from which they hoisted Old Glory. Each year, hundreds of climbers from around the world strike out from Kahiltna Base Camp at 7,200 feet. From there, they ferry up their supplies 17 miles to a series of higher camps before attempting the summit. They try and avoid plunging in crevasses, being buried by avalanches, falling ill to altitude sickness, freezing to death, and simply being blown off the mountain. Most make it, some don't. The best time to climb is April to June, when the weather has calmed down and the snow is still stable. At the crown of Wild Mountain, a raven streaks by, diving on wind currents that twist in the sky. Climbers struggle to the summit to spend a few moments marveling at the beauty beneath their feet. Ravens, on the other hand, play tag there. They are the spirit of Denali, looping and twisting in ravaging storms, searching for a treasure of oatmeal and powdered soup, screaming their raspy "ha, ha" as they dive bomb the hapless humans. Climbers and ravens play a game. At the moment, humans are ahead. The climbers once used bamboo wands to mark their food caches up and down the mountain. Ravens learned to look for the bamboo wands as markers to dig for their next meal. So climbers no longer bury their food beneath the bamboo wands. Instead, they use 2 or 3 wands to baffle the birds and vary their stash to the right or left of their markers to confuse the confounded birds. Don't tell the ravens. And, finally, above the wings of Raven, the only view is heaven. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for this book. This is the first time that I read this book, so it was actually pretty interesting, and I did not know that it was going to be this long. Like I said in the beginning, this book is being dedicated to Desiree Beck, who sadly departed from this world a couple of days ago. She left us way too soon, but I know that she is up in heaven right now with the Lord once again, and she's no longer in pain. If you like what I do, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you liked this video, give it a like. I will be getting my next project done the next time that I am home, right before I go to my shoot at the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association Spring Nationals. So I am very much looking forward to going to that. Like I said in my channel update, I will see you all later. Thank you and God bless.